My dad left a message, "You're not welcome at the wedding. And don't bring that kid around anymore." I replied with one word, "Noted." That same day I called the bank and did one thing. 3 days later when my sister opened the banking app she started screaming. When I got the text from my dad I read it 3 times just to be sure I wasn't hallucinating. "You're not welcome at the wedding. And don't bring that kid around anymore." That kid. My daughter. His only grandchild. It wasn't the first time they'd said something twisted like that, but it hit different this time. There was something so final about it. Like they wanted to cut us out completely, and were just waiting for a moment to do it. I just stared at the screen for a second then replied with one word. Noted. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. I didn't cry. I just shut the phone off, sat back and let that quiet, white-hot anger settle in. I'd been living with my uncle for 2 months by then after selling my apartment. Not because I didn't have money, I had more than I ever had in my life. But I was being smart about it. I wanted to buy a house. A place where my daughter and I could start fresh, where we didn't have to tiptoe or explain ourselves or deal with judgmental looks over breakfast. My parents didn't offer to take us in after the sale. My mom told me straight up that she wasn't comfortable with that child in the house. Said it would disturb the peace. Like we were some kind of threat. I used to let things slide. Make excuses for them. Not anymore. Here's what really happened. My sister got engaged last spring. A guy she met at work. He's nice enough, but they were both way out of their league planning a wedding that cost more than most people make in a year. So my parents were thrilled. Finally, one daughter doing something the right way. So naturally the expectation fell on me to help fund it. Not asked, expected. I had money, didn't I? And I agreed to help. 10,000. So I was clear about that from day one. But then the bills started rolling in. Dress fittings, cake tastings, venue deposits. Suddenly, everything was happening without consulting me, yet somehow I was supposed to foot the bill. Then came the kicker. They added me to a joint wedding account for transparency. What they didn't mention was they'd already started pulling from it. I checked the balance one day and just froze. They bought a brand new car for the couple. A damn car. With money I hadn't even agreed to give. I called my mom. She told me I was being selfish. Said I could always make more money, but my sister only has one chance to live her dream. That night I sat in my uncle's guest room, phone in hand, staring at that account. And I did one thing. I moved every cent back to my main account. It was still in my name. They just assumed I wouldn't dare. 3 days later my uncle came into the kitchen with this weird look on his face. He said he'd just gotten off the phone with my mom and asked me if I did something to the account. I just nodded. He said my sister had opened the app while dress shopping and started screaming in the middle of the boutique. Full-on meltdown. The venue deposit bounced. The wedding planner refused to take their calls. The panic had officially begun. And I didn't lift a finger to stop it. After I drained the account, the silence lasted about 2 days. Then everything detonated at once. My uncle was the one who gave me the play-by-play. He said my sister had been at a boutique in the city, standing on one of those little velvet pedestals in front of a giant mirror, wearing the dress she swore would make her look like royalty. $6,000. She hadn't paid for it yet, but she was acting like it was already hers. The woman fitting her was pinning the hem when the phone rang. It was the venue. They hadn't received the final payment and their policy was strict. No money, no date, no exceptions. The reservation was cancelled. The next available Saturday wasn't until the following year. My sister apparently just went blank. Then dropped the phone. Then screamed. Not cried. Screamed. The fitting room turned into a scene. The dress hit the floor. She stormed out barefoot, still in the underdress and veil. My mom was with her and tried to calm her down, but she started yelling in the street that I'd stolen the wedding money and ruined her life. People stared. Someone recorded it. By the time they got home the story had twisted. My mom was convinced I'd planned it all out just to humiliate them. My sister told everyone I was jealous because I'd never had a real wedding. And my dad, well, he suddenly remembered he had a conscience. He called me. Left a voicemail pretending none of it ever happened. He didn't mention the text he sent. Didn't acknowledge that they told me to stay away. He just said things had gotten out of hand, and they were in a bit of a jam, and maybe I could help fix it. Not a word about the car they bought behind my back. Not a word about the things they'd said about my daughter. Just him trying to butter me up like I was some idiot. I didn't respond. I took my daughter out for tacos that night. She talked the whole way about a painting she was working on. We sat on a bench near the lake and ate in the cold with our gloves on, and I remember thinking how peaceful it was. How quiet. Meanwhile, my parents were calling everyone in the family trying to do damage control. They claimed it was a bank error at first. Said the money was temporarily frozen. When people asked why the venue had dropped them, They switched the story again and said they decided on something more intimate. But people talk. And they weren't the only ones with ears. The real blow came 3 days later when my uncle told me my parents had already spent the rest of the money I didn't even know was gone, on a car for the newlyweds. They figured I wouldn't notice until it was too late, and by then I'd be too guilty to pull out. That's when I really understood what this was. They didn't need my help. They needed my silence. They needed me to be the one person who never asked questions, never set boundaries, never made things inconvenient. And for years I played that role. But not anymore. Now my sister had no dress, no venue, no plan, and the wedding was 4 weeks away. I was sitting on the porch with my uncle when he got a call from my dad. He put it on speaker. My dad asked him to mediate between us. Said this wasn't how families were supposed to function. My uncle told him flat out that families also don't treat one child like garbage just because she didn't marry a man they approved of. He told him they were reaping what they'd sown. And for the first time in weeks I actually felt light. I didn't know how the wedding would shake out, or if it would even happen at all. But I knew one thing for sure. I was finally out of their reach. By week 2 they were officially drowning. I wasn't watching it unfold directly, but somehow I still knew every detail. Not because I asked, but because people couldn't stop talking. Screenshots, forwarded voicemails, little whispers from extended family. Everyone wanted to know what was going on, and most of them knew better than to ask me directly. The wedding was 3 weeks away. The invitations had already gone out, save the dates had been sent months earlier, and people had booked flights and hotel rooms. My sister's Instagram still had that obnoxious "she said yes" highlight reel with champagne toasts and her fiancé lifting her up at the beach like something out of a low-budget Hallmark movie. But the real story? It was crumbling behind the scenes. The dress? Gone. The boutique canceled her reservation the same day she missed the final payment deadline. They gave the gown to another bride who actually paid on time. My sister didn't take that well. She apparently screamed at the receptionist, through her bridal heels, and sobbed in the parking lot until my mom showed up with a Xanax and a smoothie. The venue? Canceled. They had tried to talk their way into a grace period. My dad actually tried to convince the coordinator that I'd hacked the account. But it was too late. The estate was rebooked in 48 hours. Someone else's dream wedding was now happening on their dream day. The DJ was never paid. The cake designer blocked them. The wedding planner posted a passive-aggressive story about learning to vet clients better, and then went private. It was an avalanche, and I didn't even have to push. I just stood there and watched. Meanwhile, my parents were scrambling. My mom went into full spin control. She started floating a new narrative, that they had reconsidered the size and scope of the wedding, and wanted to focus on a smaller, more spiritual event. She posted a photo of a candle with some nonsense caption about intimate beginnings. No one was buying it. One of my cousins sent me a voice memo of my mom crying in the background during a group call, saying they were under a lot of pressure, and some people in the family were turning their backs on them. It was clearly about me, but they never used my name. I still didn't respond. Not to the voicemails. Not to the texts. Not even when my dad sent a single message that said, "We need to talk." We had nothing to talk about. This wasn't just about a wedding anymore. It was about years of quiet insults, backhanded compliments, and fake support that only lasted as long as I was doing what they wanted. I said no once, just once, and the entire house of cards collapsed. They tried again, of course. My sister emailed me a long, rambling letter with the subject line, "From one woman to another." She talked about reclaiming our bond, said she knew things had gotten off track, but that family is forever. Right. Family is forever. Unless that family includes a child they consider defective because of who her father is. A child they never wanted in their house. A child they talked about like a problem instead of a person. She ended the email with a list of what still needed to be paid. Venue. Rentals. Officiant. Hair and makeup. Total, just over $19,000. She said if I could just help with this one last thing, she'd never ask again. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to my uncle, who called me 10 minutes later laughing so hard he could barely breathe. Apparently, at this point even he was getting tired of their delusions. He said my mom had shown up at his house uninvited and tried to guilt-trip him into helping. She said that if the wedding was cancelled, it would be a stain on the whole family's name. He told her flat out that the only stain was the way they treated me and my daughter. After that she stopped coming around. 2 weeks before the wedding they gave up on the fairy tale. No more luxury estate, no floral arch, no custom napkins with initials and the wedding date. They started calling it a cozy gathering of close family. The guest list dropped from 120 to 30. The cake was ordered from a grocery store. They booked a local banquet hall with wood paneling and flickering lights. People noticed. And people talked. And still not one of them apologized. Not once. They didn't just want money, they wanted obedience. They wanted me to come crawling back to prove I needed them. But I didn't. And they were finally starting to realize it. A week before the wedding, the final wave of invitations went out. At least that's what they were calling them, invitations. In reality, they were cheap last-minute printouts that looked like something you'd make on a free template at the library. No lace, no gold trim, not even a return address. Just a vague message about a private family celebration at a venue no one had heard of. My uncle got one. My cousin Amber got one. Even my dad's old boss from a job he left 7 years ago got one. But not me. And not my daughter. That wasn't an oversight. That was deliberate. That was them saying officially and publicly, you don't belong here. It didn't even sting. It just made everything clearer. This wasn't about a wedding anymore. It was about control. They needed a scapegoat, someone to blame for why everything had fallen apart. I made it easy by not playing along. I became the villain in the story they told everyone else. But what they didn't count on was how bad they looked when the truth started slipping out. People started asking questions. Why wasn't I invited? Why did the wedding move from a lakeside estate to a windowless banquet room next to a strip mall? Why were the bride and groom driving a brand new car when the wedding budget had supposedly disappeared? My cousin sent me a screenshot of a Facebook comment from someone we're both loosely related to. It said, "I hope they didn't use the sister's money for that car. That would be disgusting." No one replied. But the comment didn't get deleted. Meanwhile, my uncle was livid. He went straight to the group chat my mom had created for family logistics and wrote one line. "So your granddaughter isn't good enough to be in the same room as you now?" My mom left the chat instantly. My dad never responded. No one defended them. A few relatives quietly messaged me to say they were sorry, and that they had no idea things had gotten that bad. One aunt even canceled her flight out of pure disgust. That meant more than anything. But the twist I didn't see coming came 2 days later. It was a Tuesday. Cold, gray, uneventful. Until my uncle told me that my sister's fiancé's parents, people I'd only met once and who barely acknowledged me at the time, were coming over. I figured they were there to smooth things over or maybe defend their son. Instead, they came in looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. They sat at the kitchen table. No small talk. No fake smiles. Just a manila envelope and a long, uncomfortable pause. Then the mom spoke. She said they hadn't known the full story. That everything they'd heard came from my parents and my sister. That they were told I'd pulled out of the wedding out of spite. That I was bitter, unstable, trying to sabotage things. But apparently the truth had started to spread. The groom, my future brother-in-law, had found out I'd been the one to put most of the money into the wedding account. He hadn't known. My sister never told him. She just said I wasn't emotionally reliable, and that it was better if I wasn't involved. When he confronted her, she admitted it. She told him she just wanted the wedding to be about her and that if I was around, it would become about Stacy and her baggage. That's how she refers to my daughter. Her niece. Baggage. Then the fiancé's parents slid the envelope across the table. Inside was a cashier's check for $5,000. They said they knew it wasn't the full amount and they weren't trying to erase what had happened. They just wanted to acknowledge it, not pretend it didn't happen. They didn't want their son's marriage to start with a lie hanging over it. I didn't even reach for it. I asked them one question. "Does your son still want to marry her?" The mom looked at the dad. The dad shrugged. And she said quietly, "We're not sure." They left the check on the table. That night, I sat with my daughter in my uncle's living room while she worked on a craft project. She didn't know anything about what happened. I never brought the drama into her space. I kept it out, kept it quiet. She looked up at me at one point and said, "Do you think the new house will have a garden?" That was the moment I decided. No more looking back. The wedding happened that Saturday. Small, big, forced smiles. The whole thing looked like a conference event that ran out of funding halfway through. But then I got the message I didn't expect. From someone who had been at the wedding. They said there was a moment during the groom's brother's speech, some lame attempt at humor, when my sister made a joke about me stealing money and raising a charity case. Everyone went quiet. The groom didn't laugh. He didn't even smile. He just got up and walked outside. I wasn't expecting to hear anything after the wedding. I figured they'd manage to limp through it. Some sad little ceremony, a forced reception, a few relatives pretending everything was fine. Then it would all fade out like a bad dream. But that night, close to midnight, my phone buzzed. Amber. She hadn't planned to go. We talked about it. She was furious about the way they treated me and my daughter, but her husband got cornered by his parents, guilted into attending. He tagged along mostly out of curiosity. And that's how I got the full story. Her first message was this. "You are not going to believe what just happened at this train wreck of a wedding." Then my phone lit up nonstop. The wedding was worse than I'd imagined. The banquet hall was dated, fluorescent lit, and still smelled faintly of disinfectant from the early morning funeral service they'd rushed to clear out. Folding chairs. Discount tablecloths. The floral arrangements were artificial and had clearly been used before. Amber said one still had a place card from someone else's event. The whole vibe was off. You could feel it in the photos. People looked stiff, like they were at a meeting, not a celebration. No one danced. The music was just a playlist on someone's phone connected to a Bluetooth speaker that kept cutting out. And the groom? He barely looked at my sister the entire night. But the worst moment came during the toasts. The groom's brother got up, clearly already buzzed. He tried to make light of everything, joked about the adventure it took to get to this day, then dropped a line that shifted the whole energy in the room. To the bride who really knows how to get what she wants. Even if it means someone else pays the price. There was that awkward silence where people weren't sure if it was a joke or a jab. Amber said my sister laughed louder than anyone, like she thought it was a compliment. And that's when she said it. She turned to the people near her table, lifted her glass and said, "Hey, I'm not the one raising a charity case." There was no music to cover it. No laughter. Just silence. The groom didn't say a word. Didn't even blink. He stared at her like he didn't recognize the person sitting next to him. Then he stood up, calmly placed his drink on the table and walked out. No announcement. No excuse. Just gone. For a solid minute no one moved. My sister tried to laugh it off, said something about him needing air, but even she knew she'd crossed a line. My mom's face turned gray. My dad looked like he wanted to melt into the floor. 15 minutes later, Amber saw the groom outside, getting into his car. Alone. He didn't come back. Guests started leaving not long after. Some tried to keep it polite. Others didn't bother. One woman, someone from my dad's side, said, "Well, this was a mistake," and walked out with her husband. The cupcakes came out but nobody touched them. By the end of the night the room was half empty, with leftover food sitting untouched and centerpieces sagging under dim lights. The next morning I woke up to a string of stories and deleted posts. One person uploaded a blurry photo of the bride sitting alone at the head table with a caption, "So that's how that ended." The groom didn't go home. He packed a bag and left town, moved in temporarily with a cousin about 3 hours away. According to Amber, he told people he needed to think. 2 days later my sister posted a cryptic message on her stories. Black background, white text. "Sometimes people break your heart just to show you who they really are." No apology. No ownership. No mention of what she said. Just another round of pretending to be the victim. But word got around. Fast. What she said about my daughter wasn't just cruel. It was unforgivable. And people knew it. Even the relatives who usually defended her started pulling away. She tried to control the narrative again, but the damage was done. Me. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Because for once the truth did all the work for me. They'd finally exposed themselves. 3.5 weeks after the disaster they tried to pass off as a wedding, I closed on the house. Not just any house, mine. Bought with my own money, under my name, free from anyone's signature or strings. No co-signers. No fake smiles. No backdoor manipulations. Just me and a deed with my name on it. It wasn't massive, but it was beautiful in all the right ways. 3 bedrooms. A big window over the kitchen sink that caught the morning light. A fenced yard with an old maple tree already begging for a tire swing. My daughter called dibs on the smallest room and said she wanted to turn it into a sun lab, whatever that meant. She said we needed a wind chime. We bought 3. The day we moved in, my uncle helped carry the last box up the porch steps. My daughter opened the front door herself, ran inside and yelled, "We're home," like she was casting a spell. I didn't cry, but it felt like something inside me finally exhaled. I never told my parents we'd bought it. They found out anyway. My uncle sent them a picture without asking me first. Me and my daughter on the front steps holding the keys, grinning. I didn't even know he'd done it until he showed me her reply. How convenient. No congratulations. No curiosity. Just bitterness, wrapped in passive punctuation. 2 days later my mom posted a filtered photo of a rented lake house and captioned it, "Weekend reset with real family." Got 6 likes. All from people I hadn't spoken to in years. My sister hadn't said anything publicly since the wedding. No updates, no photos, nothing. I heard through Amber that she tried reaching out to the groom, left him a voice message at 3 in the morning, crying, saying they could still make it official. He never replied. His cousin did. She called him a charity case's babysitter, he wrote back. He's not coming back from that. Whatever ceremony they had wasn't even legally filed. No marriage certificate. No honeymoon. The car they bought with my money sat parked in their driveway, a shiny reminder of a fantasy that died before the ink dried. Me. I started planting roots. I painted the kitchen cabinets a soft green, replaced the ugly ceiling fan in the dining room, and let my daughter pick out a ridiculous chandelier for her room that made it look like a fairy disco. Every corner of the house slowly started to feel like us. Not a borrowed space, not a stopgap. A real home. Then I decided to host a housewarming. No invites by mail. No RSVPs. Just a few texts, a few people who mattered. My uncle came, of course. Amber and her husband brought fresh bread and a bottle of wine. A couple of neighbors I'd started talking to showed up with smiles and stories. The backyard was strung with lights. I grilled burgers while the kids chased each other through the grass. Someone brought a speaker and music played softly while people passed plates and settled into chairs. At one point I looked around and realized something. Every single person there had chosen to be in my life. Not because of obligation. Not because of manipulation. Not because I paid their way. But because they saw me. And stayed. No one asked about the wedding. No one brought up my parents or my sister. It was like the universe had quietly sealed that chapter and refused to let it spill into this new one. Later that night, after everyone had gone home and my daughter was asleep, I sat on the porch with my uncle. We didn't say much. Just looked out into the yard, the lights still glowing faintly. Then he said, "You built this. From nothing. You know that, right?" And I did. I knew it down to my bones. Because I remembered every night I stayed up wondering if I'd ever get out. Every phone call that ended in guilt. Every time I let them make me small to keep the peace. And every time they looked at my daughter like she was a burden instead of a gift. Now here we were. Whole. Safe. Unapologetically out of reach. As for them, I know they saw the photos. The porch, the lights, the people laughing. I know they saw the caption I wrote under one picture. Home. Finally. They didn't like it. They didn't comment. But I know they felt it. And I hope it burned.